everyone, this is Last Night Angel. Uh, so this is a Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask design redraw. And I had done Sailor Moon as like the first video of these new uploads I'm doing almost every day. I ended up putting that into private because I realized that Tuxedo Mask would be a bit easier to build off of if I had Sailor Moon as a reference, because I wanted them to really look like they went together. And of a few different reference points, the original anime with Tuxedo Mask and Sailor Moon, Crystal with Mamoru and Usagi, and then a art book manga. And I'm deciding the pose I want them to be in here to start off, because I realized while doing these, I don't really like, because I've actually tried to record and do this exact pairing multiple times, but the recordings ended up being way too long because I tried to do too much, or I didn't like how it turned out. I just find it more fun to have them do something or be in a pose. This also helps me practice poses. So I did a scene of Tuxedo Mask grabbing Sailor Moon out of danger in kind of like a dance pose. And some of the changes I made to the characters are very minor. Like, I didn't do a lot to Mamoru's character except make him younger. So he's a bit shorter and a bit less athletic. But Usagi's changed because I wanted her to be more of that curvy, chubbier body type. And I actually changed her sailor uniform a lot because I was never really a fan of the boots. They just didn't look comfortable because they were heels. So I decided to give her flats instead. Yeah. I did end up giving them more accents that nod to each other. Like I ended up doing on Usagi's, instead of her little, like, round things that she uses in, like, one episode and, like, once in the manga, where ignore the little, like, thing that shows up there. It was an email that I have notifications, and I don't know how to turn email notifications off visually on my computer. Because she doesn't really use them in the shore manga often, I decided to switch them out for roses. So that, if anything, that Usagi and Tuxedo Mask would share that design element. I actually think it makes her look a lot cuter too. There wasn't anything wrong with the original Sailor Moon design. I just wanted to do tweaks that I thought reflected her more childlike personality more. I still kept some aspects, but the main stuff is still the same. Yeah. I decided to make Mamoru younger because I felt it was weird for Mamoru, who was supposed to be around 16 or 17, to be interested in a 14-year-old. And depending on your which canon you follow. Basically, I didn't feel like a high schooler should be seeking a relationship with a middle schooler. So I decided to make him be just a grade above Usagi. So he's her senpai. But I also drew this in a few like side sketches of other outfits of theirs and other situations with them, that I feel like their relationship would be more organic, at least to me, had they been closer. So this is kind of ignoring the point of Crystal following the manga easier. Not closer. And instead I made Mamoru kind of like this person who's been Usagi's friend, and they've always kind of had this unspoken crush on each other, but also they are always teasing each other because they've known each other so long. So you can either take this as them being in the same grade, with Mamoru being older, or Mamoru just being a grade above her. But, and I kind of took inspiration because when I draw, I end up having a small story in my head about the characters I'm drawing. And this one, I really thought about, okay, they probably met as kids when Mamoru was in the hospital and Usagi's little brother was being born. Kind of like how it showed in the R movie and at the end of the original anime. But instead of just giving a flower and then them never seeing each other again until their teenage years, they ended up becoming close friends, with Usagi visiting Mamoru every week at least. And the Kino's always joke that Mamoru and Usagi should marry, since Mamoru's practically like their son now anyways. Because he always comes over for dinner, and when there's no school on the weekend, he's always over playing video games with Usagi and Shingo. And even frequently stays the night to hang out with Shingo and Usagi overnight on the weekend. I just thought it would add something to make their relationship feel more realistic, but also like part of the reason like we're told that they found each other again in the first place was because they were always destined to find each other and be together. I'm like, well, why didn't they before this? And if the anime was to be believed, why didn't they keep together? So this plays with that idea of, okay, the reason they met each other as kids, they became really close. That way their feelings aren't completely like out of nowhere from bickering and messing with each other to, oh, we're in love now because we're supposed to be in love because of our past lives. This is more of a, oh, we messed with each other, it was a mutual thing because that's how friends are and we're that comfortable with each other. We've always liked each other and it just grew as we grew closer. But neither of us acted on it because this is a shoujo manga And of course, they didn't talk to each other. I have a feeling that Usagi and Mamoru would find out the other's identity fairly close on, just because I have a feeling they end up just hanging out a lot, and Mamoru does stuff like give her piggyback rides or like dragging her around trying to get her back on her game, or they just recognize each other's speech patterns. Ended up giving Usagi a little bunny mask just because I wanted to do small stuff to help hide her identity and take some inspiration from the manga. Yeah. So I wanted them to very much be these close friends. He would probably still have a dumb nickname for her. Like if he's teasing her, she's still Odango Atama or Dumpling Head. And when they're just hanging out or they're at school, he calls her Usako. And she calls him Mamu-chan way early on. But then it's not such an abrupt change from, again, fighting and seeming like they hate each other to, oh, we're in love now. Yeah. I was originally going to do a bunch of these sketches and then ink them all and just color the main picture. And I ended up doing like 4 little scenes because I wanted to draw different outfits of theirs. This is just me trying to get a good crescent shape. And this is just a few little cheats I know to help me. Yeah, I ended up doing them in fancy outfits, then them in their school uniform, and then, of course, Serenity and Endymion. I have a feeling that there was more of an age difference between Serenity and Endymion because we don't know how the people of the White Moon aged. So I did let the original age difference hold over onto those two. And I mainly kept her dress the same, though I slightly adjusted it and combined it because the original dress that the Sailor Moon dress is based off of a Roman column, and I just combined it with another column I had seen and added some like pearls to make it look more bougie and more rich. And this is actually a dress I draw a fan character I have for Sailor Moon that's supposed to be closely related to these two. I'll end up drawing her and explaining more of her story in a later video. Yeah, you can see whenever I pause, it's safe to assume that in those points I had like paused for a second to stretch or to put a new video on because I'm always watching YouTube. Because like you guys are seeing a sped up version, but these drawings, just because I get so into them and I lose track of time, end up taking multiple hours, especially if I do the extra sketches on the side. But I like doing that because it helps develop the characters to me. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do the school uniform scene because, of course, Endymion and Serenity are sitting on the moon together, cuddling because cute. And also, I hate drawing Endymion's outfits, so I wanted to avoid that as much as possible. I decided on a more of a playful bickering. He probably said something to offend her, and she's probably mildly upset about it, but not really. But this is just how their friendship goes. Ended up putting bows in her hair because it always bothered me how Usagi never had accessories when we see other girls decorating their school uniforms, and Usagi just seemed like the type to not do that. I always figured that if they were from the same school, they would have Mamoru's uniform as the male uniform because I don't like the male uniform in the Juban public school. I decided I needed to switch how they were standing because when I draw characters, I always tend to draw one on one side and one on the other. So I decided to switch what sides they were on. And I decided to do a more casual, oh, they're just hanging out type sketch for this. And I think the main reason that I ended up being so dissuaded from this was the first concept was them with squirt guns back to back. Then I realized I can't draw squirt guns. Yeah. Part of the reason I ended up not lining these sketches was Usagi's hair. That is like 80% the reason. Her hair takes so long to draw. So I ended up deciding to do them playing Switches. They're probably playing Animal Crossing together. And they're like sharing a juice box and snacks because I thought it was cute. Either they're playing Animal Crossing together or they're kicking each other's butts in Smash. There's no in between. It's either completely wholesome or a disaster waiting to happen. Ended up, I don't really draw male clothes often, but I didn't want, Lucy. No. I didn't want, Mamoru to look completely plain, so I ended up giving him a little earth decal on his outfit, and Usagi a little moon on her cute little like blousey shirt that totally isn't inspired by Sophia Nygaard. Totally isn't something I was just like, I love her shirts and I feel like it'd look gorgeous on characters. Then I drew them in kind of a ballroom thing because the only way I could ever like logic that Mamoru isn't in some sort of foster care system or with a relative is A, he didn't have any relatives, and B, his parents could have left him behind like a massive fortune or like a company of some sort. So this is the idea that he has to go to fancy events, and because this is just a shoujo, 100% he's hit on all the time by girls, so eventually he just started taking Usagi with them, and the dialogue's probably something like, oh, look at you, don't you look cute all dressed up? And she's like, yeah, this is why you can't get a girlfriend, is people would wonder what happened between us, even though we're not actually dating. I'm giving Usagi a more elaborate hair look with, the idea is that, like, the braids are braided around her buns, but also loop back and into each other to help hold her hair back. This is when I started trying to align the doodles on the side. And I'm surprised I got as far as I did, especially because I am not the best at braids, and I did the braiding on Usagi's hair. Yeah, this is probably how they would realize their Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask, because they would go to the whole Princess D thing, and at least one of them would have a moment of, this is familiar, in like a deja vu because the Silver Millennium way, but also in a, bro, we've done this exact dance at 15 fancy events. But he probably wouldn't confront her there because of the other Senshi, and he doesn't know if that's a secret, but like confront her like afterwards at her house or something. Misaki being like, you right? Or them laughing it off. With them, both of them dealing with the underlying, I have a crush on both them in their civilian form and them in their hero form. I am shrewd. I'd be funny. A lot of what this is just ideas I think would be funny. Also, I hate myself for deciding to do her hair in braids here, because I was just like, it's gonna look so cute. But good God, my hand's gonna hurt. And it was just me staring at it like, how does the braids redupe? Her dress is actually a design I like to do often for characters, and it usually has some sort of butterfly motif in the bows or like rose accents, and ended up doing both for this. Again, I finished the dress on this, and I love how her dress turned out. And eventually I want to do a full version of her in that outfit, even with the hair, even though it's going to kill my hand. Because I think she looks sweet in it. And I will admit, like, part of the dress is my original design, and part of the dress was inspired by Who Made Me a Princess. Because she has this, like, underskirt that makes these rose shapes. And I was just like, that would be cute on Usagi. So I'm not original. I took that from somewhere else. I can freely admit it. But Sailor Moon's kind of always had this slight butterfly motif to her. I'm pretty efficient at drawing her hair at this point when it comes to the main part. I used to like struggle with that, but now I just struggle with her regular hair. I could not get her eyes to look natural here because she's supposed to be so focused on the game. I also love giving her this little like rabbit/cat mouth, because I think it adds to the fact that she's so naive and innocent. And if I were to redo the series with my own story in mind, but still sticking to the manga, I would have her start out with a very cute animal mouth like that, but as she got older, you would see it tone down more and more. I hate drawing hands. I could not get the proportions on this arm, and I think eventually that's why I decided to just leave the sketches as is. And also I looked at the clock and I was like, it's been almost 2 hours, and this has to get out today because I didn't like the recording I did of it last night and it was taking multiple hours. I need to cut my losses and get this recording colored and rendered so I can do the audio so I can post it. I very much kept with their same outfit colors, but I very much used a very limited palette. Everything that isn't blue, yellow, or red is just a slight, it's on the spectrum of one of those colors. So, like, all the whites are going to be just a slightly yellow off-white. Oh. The idea is that the mask makes her blue eyes look red to make her look more like a bunny. And that's why they're red instead of their normal blue. And I also make her hair a lot lighter because something in the original story, if you read the like concept stuff, is her hair was supposed to be pink or change with the phases of the moon. I was just like, I'm going to take that and run with it. And so what I decided in this is for every phase of the moon, her hair has a slightly different golden tint to it. And I just went with a really whitish yellow for this one, because bunnies. And also to keep her palette very red, white, and blue. Yeah, like this black is a very blue toned black. And I basically will use the same color for one aspect of the other for another of the other, if that makes any sense. So her bows and details match his lining, vest, and bow. Every aspect white on their outfit matches. The color on her shoe, the bottom of her shoes matched the main color of his outfit. And I both gave them 2 roses as a matching accent piece. And I have a feeling they would do this after realizing each other's identity is have a part of their outfits match. Coloring her hair was surprisingly easy this time. I also didn't do a whole lot of strands like I normally would. But again, I was on kind of a time crunch. Also figured like the slight changes in their hair, kind of like how Miraculous Ladybug changes Marionette's normally like mostly black, slightly tinted blue hair to a more tinted blue. And fun fact, I have a Miraculous Ladybug speed drawing redesign type thing coming in the near future. I might do it tomorrow instead of one of the Yandere Sim videos, or I might save it for the beginning of next week because I have 2 Yandere Simulator videos that just need the audio part. But I have that coming. I really like how this turned out especially after I figured out the shading. And then I decided to do a thing off to the side to show where their hair colors would start and end up in there, especially in this scene. And some of this requires a bit of explanation. Like with Usagi's eyes being red and hair going to be different types of goldens, like rose gold and that kind of stuff. So the bigger circles are their main colors, and the smaller circles are what they turn. Mamoru's eyes would actually change from blue to green, and his hair would shift from a more natural black to the more blue black. And that is